Hey everyone, we are live again. Welcome back to this wonderful channel. I myself, Allegra Jackson, the marketing medulla, and Miss TCO Kerr. We are out here giving you guys some more information about the Big Brand Small Business series that we've been doing. Really excited about this because I've learned so much. Myself and TC have shared some of the things that we've done in our own business that has allowed us to grow just by telling these stories. And today we are on Big Brand Small Business KFC's journey from roadside to restaurant. We're going to share the actual presentation that myself and TC go through. Before we talk to you about this, we do our own research and look into the KFC history. And, it's very interesting to see how the humble beginnings of a lot of these businesses look. We start our own businesses with this idea that, our small business isn't really that big. But when we really look at the background of these companies and the perspective that they have from the beginning, whether they were a student in college or, just starting out in the workforce and really wanting to have a bigger vision for their life, these individuals of these companies that we now consider these big brands started right where you are, right where we are. And we're using them as an example to really see through what works well for people when they build their big brands and kind of look at that as a modeling piece for ourselves. I have seen the big results from some of the things that I've done. I see TC change some things because I think TC, you had like a new logo and this. I mean, it was just so amazing seeing the brand up. But one thing we're going to do today is go through it again, and we're going to give a little bit of history of who the owner of KFC is, where he started, why it started, and this is pretty deep. So you guys want to really listen and share this with your friends, okay? Because sometimes we think we know why a business is what it is until we realize that the facts are that they really just simply fulfill a basic need, something that everybody is really already looking for. And we'll break that down for you. I'm Allegra, the marketing medulla. I'm a business coach, marketing strategist, and entrepreneur of many years. I work with women entrepreneurs mainly to assist them to start, grow, and scale their businesses. If you're a woman in business and you've been a little lost in it for a long time because things get in the way, family, health, all these things, we create strategies and support systems to make sure that you can go through the process and you can still really sustain your business with the right resources and support. I have TC here as a partner in business. TC, please introduce yourself and then let's get into this topic.
Absolutely. It's so good to be here, everyone. I hope you have your notepad, your pen, because we're about to dissect KFC's journey. It's an amazing journey, and I feel like with KFC's journey, it's literally that stage where we are right now in our business, in the world as a whole, because everything is happening, right? We just want to see how we're able to leverage every single circumstance that we find ourselves in, be it in our business, be it in our personal life, be it in, the political affairs of our lives, We want to figure out ways that we can take advantage of all of this, little bit setbacks. Let us turn those setbacks into opportunities. And that's basically what we're going to be deep diving into today. So I hope you have all of your questions and not to worry, even though you are late, even if you get late to the live series, you can always plug in your chat while you're watching. Plug in your questions while you're watching the replays, okay? We'll definitely be somewhere in the comment section answering all of your questions. As always, my name is TC Okore. I'm always very excited, to talk about all things back end, from your launches, your systems, your workflow automations, ensuring that your campaigns are being done, intentionally, strategically, so you're able to attract the right audience, connect with them, and most importantly, build that structure that will build you the legacy that you desire. But I really do hope that you get to ask all of your questions, because KS's story is one story that touches, I would say it touches every small business. So you want to be a part of it. All right. Over to you, Lega.
Thank you, TC. And I will be sharing the document with you all because we did write out something for you all to see. which is basically a shared form that we write up and talk about their origins. We felt like it was good for us to share it with you all so that you can get a perspective on, exactly how we look at this thing. And while we're talking about it, you can have your chance to read through it. We probably will put a lot of these documents in articles for you, because as we're building on this series, we have lots of people that are like, I never knew that. I didn't realize that. And you won't know what you don't know until you know it. So as we're expressing this stuff, y'all, listen, if there's something in there that you like see and you're like, I did not know that, let us know, because we do this all the time. And if you look at KFC, my first experience, TC, have y'all ever had KFC before? Please put it in the chat if y'all have. It is like this, fast food chicken that's like very southern, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like comfort food, right? I remember when I was growing up, I would always like hear KFC, the Colonel. And I think it's really important when you start to experience the brand yourself that you understand what that brand really is, because I was just looking at this and just didn't even realize that KFC started in the 1930s with the Great Depression. I had no idea. I'm just thinking this is some good chicken, right? This is some good chicken, right? And I think when we look at this, so let's talk about it, because it was rooted in resilience, it says, and ingenuity. So Colonel Sanders, KFC's owner, right? He started it in the Great Depression, and obviously a challenging time. When I think about that, I think about today. We're in a challenging time in our world. A lot of people may not look at this as a challenge in a way, but in history, we're going to be in the history books, right? They're going to be like, oh my God, they went through a pandemic. Oh my goodness. Like they had a president of that. So they're going to be reading about us in the future. But right now we are creating the history. And so as I'm looking at the Great Depression, I'm like, wow, in the midst of that, he decided to start serving food to travelers, right? Like these are people who probably were just going through their day to day. And I see that a lot for us, TC, too. Like I'm dealing with a lot of things around me where people are just busy, right? They're just like, okay, I just got to get through this day. I just got to get through this day. And they're really like trying to figure out how to feel really good about their day. And this guy is a chef, right? Like, so Colonel Sanders is a chef, and he figured out a way to just take his natural talent and, to make that experience, right? The hospitality experience, and to take it to people and to bring that to wherever they are. And I said to TC before we did this live, y'all, I said, TC, he was like doing to-go food deliveries before that was even a thing. Today, we look at it like, oh, this is a really new and interesting thing, right? Like we get to order and we get the food delivered to us, but they were doing it back in the day as a chef, just, making sure that people could get easy access and convenience to food. And it's something very simple, but if you read on, it's talking about, he was managing a station, right? And so when he started serving to travelers, and this is another thing, it had 11 herbs and spices. He used a pressure cooker. And so from the standpoint of what I guess they were using back then, that was high quality, right? Like he was using like really like good equipment to make the best food. And you know what, TC, that reminds me of something, because how many times have y'all like cut corners in your business, right? Like how many times have we been like, okay, well, I don't want to spend that much money. I'm just gonna, do it this way. I'm gonna DIY it, and I'll get the lesser expensive, thing that I need to make this amazing business. And sometimes, and this is what it kind of brings up for me, and I want to hear from you as well, TC, because this is the origins. He was already thinking big before he was big. He wasn't like, oh, let me start out with a little pot because I just need to like serve chicken real quick, right? He was like, I'm gonna get the pressure cooker, I'm gonna get the high quality stuff, and I'm gonna serve really good fried chicken with 11 herbs and spices. Like How many times do they cheap, be a little cheap on the seasoning? You'd be like, they could have seasoned that chicken a little bit better, right? And so I think about this because back then there had to been a glamorous effect, like, oh, this chicken's so good and it's quality, and that experience is, I believe, more important than the chicken itself. And so I think sometimes in our businesses, we have to understand that, yeah, we sell stuff, we do, but what makes it so different? What makes your chicken so different than the other person's chicken? Like, what makes your business and what you do so much more different than the other person doing the same thing? And I think sometimes, TC, that's where we get a little bit discouraged, because if you're building a business and you have a great idea and you know that you want to help and serve people, if you just go after that goal and you don't worry about, what everyone else is doing, you don't compare yourself to other businesses, right? Then you'll just start attributing the things that you like to what you do, and it will just naturally be different and unique. But sometimes we're so caught up in everyone else's stuff that we're like, oh, I'm gonna do it like them. That sounds like a good idea. Let me try that. And trying so many different things, it's good. Try new things, right? Be creative. But sometimes we have to evaluate where that's really coming from. Because from what I'm seeing, he was doing something that no one else was really doing at the time. But we'll go a little bit further into that. TC, I'll pass the mic over.
Now, while you were speaking, I was thinking to myself, right? Um, there was a time I was in a conversation with a friend, and she actually wanted to start her business. And I remember when she said, we talked about, oh, you know what, find that thing that is different, in what you do and blah, blah, blah. And then she said, I don't know what is unique. I feel like everybody else does it. I also feel like everybody can do what I do. I mean, but the truth is that no one can do it the way I do it. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the way I do it is magical. Listen, it's the fact that I am me. Just the fact that I am me. It's on its own, because there can't be two of me. Think about it. The way I sound. Oh, somebody would say, "Oh, but we can use AI. Try it. Let's see how good it comes out." I mean, you want to try it. No one would sound like me. No one would, you can try to imitate, but it can't be like the original, right? Now, the truth is, it would take them so much work for them to replicate who you are. And that's such an intentional. And I'm like, if you can sit down to try to replicate who I am, I'm like, oh my gosh, you have so much time. Then we need to study you, because it means that you are. I don't want to even think about it, because that's a level of something else we won't talk about, really. But you see, the truth is, there is always something unique, right, about what you do. You just need to look from the inside, right? It could be how you do it, or how you place it, or how you feel about it, right? We just need to understand that that whole sauce that we need to make us stand out. It doesn't necessarily, you see, the problem here, I also feel, is the fact that we always like to look for that big thing. And we forget that what necessarily makes the difference is something really very small. It's not always very big. It's because we want to wait for the perfect thing. We want to wait for the big thing. Imagine if KFC had waited, right, for when the economy was brilliant. The economy was just perfect for entrepreneurship. The economy was this. This was like, it was all amazing. It can never be all perfect, right? We just need to figure out the perfection in every imperfect scenarios. I mean, that's what makes us business owners. That's what makes us entrepreneurs, if we think about it. So to your point, Allegra, I personally feel like there's always this source in every business. As a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as what you do, you just need to find it. right? And the little thing I'm going to add to this is the fact that it's usually that thing that would differentiate you is usually not a big thing. It's usually very small. It could be, if you're a coach, you're a consultant, it could be a little gesture that you unintentionally put in. That might just be what stands you out from the next person. What makes people want to watch your videos? What makes people want to listen to you? It could be something. It could be the way you switch in your. It could just be anything, but very little. We just need to find that unique point, that unique sauce, because that's basically what makes us different. That's what makes us stand out, and that's what you will have to stand with to then follow through with your path, right? So to your point, yeah, I always feel like if these big brands that we keep talking about has waited, if they had waited in a time in the, at the time at when they started, if they waited for the perfect scenario, for the perfect policy, for the perfect president, for the perfect road, for the perfect scenarios, for the perfect everything, literally, I'm not sure we would have KFC today. I mean, there's so many chicken restaurants. There's so many spicy chicken, crunchy chicken everywhere right now. But KFC is still KFC. It can crunch the way you want to crunch, but KFC is still KFC. And I'm still gonna have to want to go to KFC to buy a bowl of chicken, compared to if I'm going to, like, hey, there is so many of them. I'm not going to name names, but when we want to do, like, that part where we say cheat day, everybody close your eyes, even if you're going to add how many pounds, you just know it's a cheat day. Just go there, just buy like two bowls, or finish one, and then we'll put another one in the freezer. And then I remember my husband would say, it's cheat day, right? I said yes. I said, but when you eat, I be the one to add weight, and then you lose. But at the end of the day, it's still what it is. So that's where I'm going to stop for now. Legba be like laughing. You like the sound of chicken, right?
It's,
Allegra loves chicken. Yeah.
it ain't it. Listen, when I was back in the day, I ate a lot of chicken. I don't eat chicken like that no more. I cheat with chicken because the truth is that I just changed my diet. That's all. I just changed my diet. But if I was gonna eat chicken at any time, that Kentucky Fried Chicken is not just about it's not just about the chicken itself now, right? Now, back then, I think that that's the important part, TC, when you said that, it was in a time where most people would just give up. It was in a time where most people didn't even think about starting a business. It's like, what? Starting a business? It's the Great Depression. You're crazy. And the truth is that I've run across so many business owners, even myself, that we have an idea and it's so prominent. And it's like, you want to do it now, and everything around you is like, no, it's not the right time, you shouldn't, it's got to be perfect. And the truth is that when you have a gut feeling to do something right now, you do it, because the best businesses come out of the worst times. If y'all ever look at business in the past, it's always comes in the worst times, because the reason why businesses survive is because there are so many people that are in need. So if people are not in need, then you would have no need for a business, right? I heard someone say this before. They said, I don't serve anyone from a problem standpoint. Like you shouldn't have to solve a problem with your business. And the truth is, and here's the real deal: people don't buy because they're happy. People don't buy because they're just like, oh, my life is good, right? People buy through emotion. So if you're giving them a reason to feel excited, they're going to buy. If they're excited about something and you're giving them something to keep their momentum, they're going to buy. If they have a problem and their problem is really bad and you have a solution, they're going to buy. Either way, you're creating something for them that they need. So whether you're saying that I don't want to work with people that have a lot of problems, you don't have to. You just have to find someone that needs a solution for whatever it is that they need. So we have to put it in perspective, because the Great Depression was one of those times where, someone that would say that would be like, I'm not starting a business now. I'm not doing that. There's too many people acting like they in pain. Well, that's why you're there. You're there to help fulfill a need. So anyone that starts a business, and this is what I always tell my clients too, if you come and you want to start a business and you don't want to fulfill a need, don't start a business. Have a hobby, do something fun, charge people for it, right? But if you want to start a business, you're going to have to be able to fulfill needs, because that is where you get the most impact. And I love the fact that Colonel Sanders, right? I'm gonna share this screen again, because TC, another thing that came up was not about the fact that, because this is all wrong. For any business owner today, they would look at this and be like, I would never start a business now. But how many businesses were started in the pandemic? Right? And so we have to realize that that's where you can grasp hold. But so if you were that type of person that you started in the pandemic, like a lot of people did, and you're like, wow, like I fulfilled a need. There are two different types of business owners. There were some business owners that were like, nothing happened for me, I had to go back to work. And there were some business owners that said, oh my God, I opened it up in the pandemic and I skyrocketed. And, so you have to look at, well, what worked and what didn't for that person. That doesn't necessarily mean it'll work for you. Colonel Sanders was 62 years old. He was 62 years old with this idea. Okay, I'm gonna share the screen again because y'all gotta see this. This is flipping me out, because I work with different avatars in my programs, and one of my avatars includes the 60 above. And in that avatar, one of the main things that I talk about is how to really go back and renew the mind. Because a lot of times we get very settled in our ways and we just kind of have beliefs that aren't real, aren't true. And so we have to go back to the beginning. And some of these things that I'm looking at, like Colonel Sanders being 62, it shows that people that say, oh, I'm too old to do it, you're never too old to do it. If you are 62 or 65 or 67, whatever, if you're 85, you can start your business right now. You can start in this time where people are in need, are needing something, right? I was just thinking about this, CC. I called you, well, I talked to you a couple times this week, and we were talking about, recent things that have happened here in the US. And a lot of people are really having a hard time, right? Like people are really having spouts of like mental health, like their minds are kind of like in chaos. Their mental health is at stake. Their self-care is in chaos. I was talking to someone that said, I just want to put my head in the sand for the next 4 years. I don't even want to go to work. And, something about that leads me to believe that there's opportunity for someone, right? So if you are a person in business and you supply self-care, healing, right? Renewing of the mind, understanding how people can get through hard times, this is the perfect time to stand up for your business. And if you are starting a new business and you're like, I just never did it and I feel too old, whatever the case may be, you have no excuse. You have zero excuses, right? So I love this because Colonel Sanders in 1952, you know what I'm saying? Years later, after he started this at a station, y'all, he was at a station serving chicken. He literally never gave up on his idea. Never gave up on his idea. And so he set out to franchise it now, because it's not about, hey, I have the business, I'm gonna do it alone. We talk about that all the time, TC. We say, well, what is it about you and your business that you think can be sustainable with just you by yourself? I get frustrated trying to live my regular life, let alone without help, let alone the business, right? Like think about like your home. Like it feels so much better when I call, the company to come clean my house opposed to me having to clean it myself, right? I feel better when, I have support. Like if I have children, it would be nice to have someone there to support when I just need a mental break, right? It's nice to have someone to, help with organizing tasks or your finances, right? It's good to have that support. And it's funny because in real life, a lot of us do not have that. So in our business, when we start our businesses, we transfer the same energy. And so we do not grow. So we'll end up doing everything, working in every department of our business without actually saying, wait a minute, I don't have to do everything. I can actually hire someone. I could support someone on contract. I could ask for help and see if they're willing to trade, right? Because everything is not about money. So it's really important to understand that every brand that we've come across, even this one, he had to at some point in time say, I can't do it alone. And that's the best part for me, because I'm waiting, TC, to find one brand that did it alone. I'm waiting for one. And out of all these brands that we still see here today, and you talk about creating a legacy, I hear so many people say, I want to have a business so I can create a legacy. It's not about the money for me, right? And it's good, because you're going to have to get the money anyway. But it's not the end all be all. But if you want to create a legacy, you got to start right now. You got to build on the ideas that you have right now, and you have to build on it. And so in 1952, a few 20 years later or so, for 50, yeah. So he's basically, starting. He had a recipe, special recipe. So of course, at 62, he franchises it. And in a franchise, you have the same consistent measure across the board. So that means that he had to have things in place. He had to know exactly what the measurements were for that recipe. He had to know how to delegate that information so that every single person that started a KFC knew what the recipe was, right? So this actually is intentional, because sometimes I think that we get so caught up in the tools, TC. Like, oh my God, I got to do an SOP. And oh my God, I got to do CRMs. And oh, I got to do this. That we forget that all it is it's coming from a place of being able to structure something that you love and put it in a process so that someone else can love it just as much. When he passed down this recipe, I'm sure he was very passionate to say, I'm going to make sure that everybody makes it the same way. So I'm going to write down all the measurements. I'm going to write down what I did with it. And I want to make sure that every single franchise has a written opportunity to see, so they don't have to guess. And that's kind of what I think about when I think about our tools in business. And so I always use that. And looking at this is another example that, business comes from a very soulful place. We've just enhanced it with tools and resources that we have today. And that's what that reminds me of. TC, I'll pass it back over to you before we get to the growth.
There's something that you said. I'm excited that we said this, right? Because in the past, we've had business owners, entrepreneurs say something like, oh, no, I don't think I need systems. Or, no, I don't think I need to do this. No, I think my business needs to be like 5 years, 10 years, 1 billion years before I start to put in the right, systems in place and all of that. And then we forget that I don't know, maybe it's the word. Maybe the word just looks very big, right? Imagine if this amazing man didn't take that initiative to document his process. We would not have the different franchise. Do you know that KFC is a franchise? Do you know that it is international? Imagine, like, how do you think the guy is able to multiply and replicate his recipes himself, the way he does his business? If he did, do you know another thing, that the more you go into your business, the more the difficult it is for you to intentionally document these processes, because now it's not very stressful. And then you just have to start to do this. And you start to do that. You'd be like, oh my God, I have to do this. I'm overwhelmed. I'm burnt out. Like, I mean, why don't you just do it from the get-go? I mean, you're not started yet. You start to put all of these things in place. Now, the beauty about this thing is that once you have this, you can always go back to update. Yeah, because we're not saying that how you started 1 year ago is going to be how you're going to be 2 years now. No, we're saying that when you have the system, your system needs to be scalable. Whoever tells you that you have one system now and it's going to stay like that and it's all rigid and that's how you go, like, woo, and 10 years down the line, that's the way it goes. No, it's not going to be that way. A powerful system is scalable, it is flexible, it is auditable. It moves with you. You can update it, tweak it, move it. Tennis. That's how beautiful a system is. And a system doesn't necessarily mean we are talking about go high level. No, 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 that's not, that's a tool. That's a software. Like that was how many days, how many years? 1919, we're talking 1950 something. Maybe he just wrote down he on a piece of paper, and he just took a pen and he just documented it down. It could actually even be maybe a very small clause, and it's like he put it in there. Now we have them good tools where you don't have to do that, and you'd be like, oh, I'm just gonna type something on my phone and I press play and the thing goes to my CRM. Yeah, you can have that, have those apps on your phones. But that is not the system here. That's not the process. That's what we keep talking about. Now, as you can see, imagine if KFC had not done what he did, right? We won't have such an organized, crunchy, you know, because now tomorrow you will go to India and then you're tasting a KFC that tastes like burger, vegetarian burger. Or you go to KFC in Africa and then you're tasting a type of KFC that tastes like I'm trying to look at and then you're just having scattered varieties. Now that is what happens. Now imagine when you say, okay, you know what? Now I want to implement technology. You're going to do what? Automate skills. That's what happens. That is why so many people, the best they can do is to grow, but they can't sustain that growth. That's the problem. Like you start to do well, and all of a sudden you just get stuck. Because at that particular point, you can't move backward, you can't move forward, you're frustrated. You see, so I love the fact that, Allegra mentioned that. And, when we think about all of these big brands, we think they're doing something very gigantic. They're doing things, or rather, they did things that have helped them get to this stage that we're talking about, the stage that we both want to be in. So when I have systems that work, Allegra has systems that work, and then we come here and tell you have your system, we are not saying go get a tool, because these tools will change, but your system is scalable. It breeds you. It breeds your uniqueness. That's what we're talking about. Now, if you've been hearing on Fiverr or hearing on all of these places and people be like, system, now hear it well. If KFC had go high level then, did they? In 1952, did they? No, I mean, they didn't. So what are we talking about? Did that stop KFC from becoming that legacy? I mean, I wasn't even born. I'm sure my mom and my mom and dad already married. I'm not sure. Are you sure they even have met? So at the end of the day, we want to think about these things, right? We want to understand that the business we have today, we can take it to that next level when we at least have little things like documenting this process, and there are very simple ways to do that. Like personally, I think I love this series a whole lot. You know why? Because it is very relatable. It helps us understand that all of these big brands that we keep looking up to, like we raise our heads and we forget that what is making us raise our heads is basically what is right in front of us. So yeah, that's where I'm going to stop, because I love the fact that Allegra had to pinpoint that. You see, documenting those processes. I took that out and I said, no, that's what I'm going to talk about. Because whether we are going to blow up in our businesses, whether we are not going to blow up in our businesses, it goes so well into how we're able to document these processes, right? Because it says a whole lot about our operations. It says a whole lot about our success. All right, so that's where I'm going to stop today. No, not today, just now. Over to you, Allegra.
No, Cece, you're right. Y'all listen. Please, please, please share this, because the truth is that while TC was talking, I started thinking about my 9 to 5 jobs, right? I started thinking about where I came from in my work environment and how I had to follow protocol every day at work from whatever they needed me to do. And that came from a documented process. right? Like I would not even know what to do in my job. And so I think it was funny how, you know, in KFC's world, if y'all are reading this, right? This man was vicious. He had to have been like resilient, you know, at 62, and people kind of like thinking, you know, what's this guy coming with like 11 spices and just chicken, and you know, it was really good, but I'm sure he probably, I mean, think about it, he probably had to really get people involved so that they could even put it in their mouth. Like, you know, sometimes we're out here trying to get systems, but we haven't even tested to see if people like our stuff. So I love what you're saying about get a system, because if people already like what you have and you already have a client base or customer base, the best thing you can do for yourself is do this, similar to what Colonel Sanders did, was he just maximized and created a system that would flow out of what he already was doing. So it could be so many things with this. And that's why we tell y'all, book calls with us. Talk to TC about how you can like flow out of what you're doing. And because one of the things I was talking about, and this came up to TC, is that as I'm going through some of my coaching sessions, like, you know, we have lots of aha moments. And one of the biggest aha moments, y'all, is when a person realizes visually what we're talking about, when that click happens and they're like, oh, so you mean you're talking about this and this. Because the truth is that a lot of times when we start our business, when we tell you to build a system, when we tell you to build a funnel, when we tell you these things, you have no visual in your mind of what that looks like. We do. So all you have to do is tell us what it is that you are wanting, what is it you are needing, how you want it to look, how you want it to feel. We're going to guide you through that. And here's the best part about this process is that it just came naturally, to take something that he knew was really good and that he knew he wanted to other people to experience. And it obviously came from a place where he knew how important it was. I was looking up how he actually wrote down this secret, right? Because they said 11 herbs and spices, but they never said which ones. TC, like I read this whole article. Did you see anything about which 11 herbs and spices it uses? I did not see anything. And that, I think, is also a part of it, because something you said earlier was you have to find your secret sauce. Find your secret sauce. Coca-Cola did the same thing, right? They had their vault. Now KFC also has a vault. When he first created this, y'all, he actually wrote down his recipe in the 1930s. 11 herbs and spices at his Roadside Restaurant in Corbin, Kentucky. And then he experimented with different season combinations, right? He also experimented with different cooking methods. Remember, we said that he was using like the pressure cooker. And so he really did take his time to be creative with what he had. He didn't just say, let me just put this out there and they just buy. Oh, they didn't buy my chicken? And this is what we do, right? We put a product out, we don't test it, we don't change it, we don't address it over time, right? We just put it out there and we go, why aren't they buying it? And I think that when we look at the history of where he wrote this recipe down, he really experimented with what he was developing so that he could see how much better it could be for people. He didn't look at everyone else's chicken. He said, how can I make my chicken good? And he actually made sure that the methods he used made his chicken stand out from everyone else's chicken. And till this day, I mean, I don't know how many of y'all go to KFC and you're like, it's the same taste every time. It never changes. But imagine if he wouldn't have wrote that down. Imagine if he wouldn't have put it in a vault, which he did. And he actually stored it at KFC headquarters. And it's to this day, it's the exact same blend of spices that also remains a secret, right? And it's really important for us to understand that this is the secret sauce. Because how are you going to mimic that? What are you going to do if you try to make KFC chicken? There's no way you can do that. And so I love this part, because when you were talking, TC, about like what makes these brands so big, it's because they made big moves, they made big decisions, they were bold about it, right? No, you can't have my recipe. No, you can't know all what's in it. Now, I mean, there are certain things I'm sure involved in that, but it also reminds me of the exclusivity clause, right? When I coach people, I say, where's your exclusivity? where is it that people feel like they have to earn their way in the door? Not to say that they have to, fight their way in the door, but where they feel like for example, if there's only 5 cars of a certain type in the world, and I know that I have to qualify to get that car, right? But I have the money, I have the qualifications, and I get that car, I'm gonna feel so much different than anyone else because no one else can get in this car like I can get in this car. Well, it's the same with your services, your products, your brand, everything that you offer. Give people a level of feeling like, oh my God, this is for me. Apple does it well too. I don't know if y'all ever noticed this, but when we talk about our phones, you ever get this question? Are you an iPhone or Android user? You ever get that question? The reason is because there is a certain type of mindset around the brand, right? And so you got to realize that. And that's why people be like, oh, I'm an iPhone user. I get exclusive features. That's not open to everybody. So when we talk about KFC, it's just the same. And then, this modern era that he went into, y'all, this is so cool because it talks about how he went from Kentucky Fried Chicken to KFC. They said he was a down to earth person. They said he was cool. Like he was probably very laid back, straight, like, hey, y'all want something to eat? And that's something that I want to talk about too, TC, because I walk into a lot of people's businesses when they start up and they go, oh, I can't look like that. It has to be this way, right? It's gotta be, I gotta look this way. I gotta be a professional. And I think it's good to do that. But I also think that we have to be very mindful of where that comes from, right? Because some of the best business owners and some of the most wealthiest millionaires that I've run across, and when I say wealthy millionaire, I'm not talking about a millionaire, because there's a lot of millionaires that aren't wealthy, who just got money in their bank account. Wealthy millionaires with these mindsets that are just like, they know what they know that they know, right? They're laid back, they're down to earth, they're so real, they're human. They don't try and put on a front for nobody, right? They tell you what it is. And I think sometimes when we see someone that has elevated and something like a brand that has elevated because they were so real, we honor and we admire it, but it looks different to us. So we try and mimic it. But if we become our authentic selves in our brands, if we become very laid back, down to earth about what we're doing, because the truth is that I'm providing something that someone needs. It may not be for everyone, but if you provide something that someone needs, which I'm sure he felt that way, like, I'm here for the people who really want comfort food, who really want to have this experience. So anything outside of that didn't matter. So, he popularized the idea of the bucket of chicken, which became synonymous with KFC. Y'all remember them buckets of chicken? So, we also have to make sure that we're giving people opportunities to see us in different ways. Like, who thinks of a bucket of chicken? But I'm sure somebody came in one day, and this is another thing I want to highlight, TC, because I don't know if this is what happened. But I get people all the time that come to me and they're like, I wish you had this, or I wish this existed, right? And if someone is telling you that there's something that they want, they need, that should be part of your market research. That should be part of your data points. Take that as a survey, right? And just say, hey, who else feels that way? Because a lot of times when customers and clients and people come to you for, talking about what they need and what they want, those are the problems that they need solutions for. If you can provide that solution, perfect. I do it all the time. And that's why I say, TC, I'm like, why do people work so hard? It's like, if they tell you that's what they want, give them what they want and then charge them for it. It's like just give them what they want and then charge them for it, because they have to make an exchange. But this is what was so interesting when I was just thinking about how he was laid back and he made this bucket of chicken, and he really changed the name from Kentucky Fried Chicken to KFC, which was an easier way to understand it. And then he established numerous KFC outlets by the late 1950s. I think that, the symbol, like they talk about quality and tradition, that still speaks to the day. I still talk to people that they're just like, it's traditional. I just love it because it's traditional, right? So you have to understand what makes your brand stand out. It may not be traditional. Maybe it's quality. Maybe it's, exclusivity, maybe it's care, whatever that is. You have to identify what makes your brand stand out. And this is what came up for me, especially this last part, TC. This is really funny. And I know we have to leave soon, y'all. So make sure that you drop your comments, because we'll come back here next week and we'll have another brand for you. But we also want to make sure that we hear from you, because if there's any questions you have, we can answer those questions here in the comments, and we can also get you into a one-on-one so that you can grow and you can understand how this impacts your business too. But I thought it was so interesting at the last part when he said that he was dressed in a white suit and a string tie, and that became the face and the embodiment of the brand. I mean, I think it's important to know that, because there's one thing you said, TC, and you said it a while back, and I want to bring it back. You said the brand, the lead generation, all that is you. Is you. No matter how it looks, really, it's still you. And that uniqueness and the approach that we bring to the world, a lot of people don't necessarily always like what we have to offer at first, right? Like if I look back on a lot of things that I've seen in these big businesses, these big brands, small business, is that they never really, it never was like a, oh well, we listen to the people's opinions. That none of that was ever said in these articles that we're reading. It was always about them following their journey and their idea, and getting past all the challenges, which some of those challenges, which most of you are facing, is the rejection, is the I didn't get supported, is the I'm not making the money, I don't know why nobody's buying. And part of this journey, this whole process, and looking at these brands, you actually have to go through that, because you have to identify who is for you and who isn't. And it doesn't have to have anything to do with your personal life. It just has to have something to do with you and where you're going to grow in your business. So we hope you compartmentalize that. So one thing I will tell you, because TC, I love how you said the brand is you, the lead generation is you. Because when we take it outside of ourselves and we act like it has nothing to do with us, then that's when it no longer becomes a part of us, and we created the business. And so you have to keep that as part of you, but you have to know how to build on it. All right. So I wanted to just add that, because I mean, without the suit and the string tie, I mean, honestly, I don't know if the brand would be the same, because I admired that, and that's just something that I still lives in my mind today. I want to go ahead and leave it to you, TC, to kind of finalize this conversation. And y'all, make sure, like I said, connect with us. I'm going to drop some things in the comments real quick while TC is talking, and a way for you to connect with us one-on-one. Go ahead, TC, you have the mic. No sound. Oh, are you talking, TC? I couldn't hear you. Sorry.
Can you hear me now? Okay. So I was saying, that part where maybe you go somewhere and you see a brand that you like. I don't know if you do this as well, but if I see something I like, especially when it has to do with, any brand, basically, I do that a whole lot. I want to find out, who is behind this brand, right? And that's because it says a whole lot. It says so much about what a brand is, who a brand. See, there needs to be. I don't know how people who do this whole faceless brand kind of thing. I mean, the real brands don't go faceless. I'm not necessarily saying that their owners are the face, but there just have to be a face. We need to be able to align the brand human with a human. Now that says a whole lot. You don't necessarily need to be the face of your brand, but your brand needs a face. You need to humanize your brand by putting a face behind your brand. right? So it that's just the way it is. Now, what does that say to us? What that says to us is that what, as individuals, right, who we are, our personalities has so much to do, with how we run our business. I don't know, but I don't think, or rather, all of the brands that we've been talking about, the big brands, that we've been talking about, they all started from somewhere. I had somebody um say to me, and she said, you know why, I don't like, that's how she said it. She said, you know why I don't like, working with coaches. And I said, before you go on, please tell me, how many coaches have you worked with? And she said, well, I worked about two coaches. And I said, okay, so tell me why you don't like working with coaches, because personally I believe that you need one. And she said, well, in her words, she said, they don't just give me results. And I said, okay, you know what? I have time today. Let's talk. When you go to your coach, what exactly are you looking for? What kind of results do you envision? And like, well, I don't make sales. And I'm like, so did anybody ever tell you that your coach is going to help you get sales? Like, I don't understand how to, even your consultants, see, you cannot force a horse to drink water, right? If depending on what business, what model you have, they are meant, the support you have. I don't know why we kind of think about these things, and we think it the way we think about it. Listen, no one is going to blow up your business aside from you. I know that so many experts out there do not like to say this, but I would say it because that is the truth. No one aside from you will blow up your own business. Now you're going to need support. You're going to get the support. You're going to have done for you support, done with you support, done assistance you, whatever you want to do, but it is called support. If you're not going to shift your mindset to that next level, no one is going to take your mindset with a finger and say, okay, this is what you need to do, and put and push it that way. No, it doesn't work that way. And so I said to her, I said, tell me what kind of result. And she said, I've not gotten clients. And I said, tell me what you did, what part you played. And then when she started to talk, I started to laugh. And I said, you're not ready. Because if you're ready, you would understand that your coach guides you, right? Your consultants, whatever consultants you get, right? They create the strategy and they help you implement, or help you implement, because it's two in one. They either create a strategy for you, or do the strategy and then help you implement it. But implementing it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to get you the no. They're going to get you to your door. You are going to close that sale, especially as service providers. See, even if you get a customer come into your working store today, right? You do things, you provide things, you provide services. Listen, no matter how many support you have, we're not going to take your hands and get you delivering. Now, if you don't do what you need to do, if you don't make that customer happy, that customer would not come back, right? There's so much you can do, there's so much the support can do for you. You need to be ready to get this working. If you follow the trend, right, of the big brands we've been talking about, right, there was this whole intentionality behind seeing their business through. There was an intentionality to grow and scale these businesses. They didn't say because I have partners. They didn't say because I had um, team members, I'm going to cross my legs and my hands and watch the miracle happen. It is no miracle. It is just intentional strategy and work, right? And so this is how I want us to feel. I want us to think going into 2025. Because as much as our brand represent us and we represent our brands, we want to, as much as possible, ensure that we're doing what is necessary. The brand is you. You are the brand. How you take life, for example, how intentional, how persistent, how much you want something goes a long way with how much growth your business would would attract. If you don't want it as bad as your coach wants it, it cannot work. If you don't want something, your business, as much as your VA wants it, it cannot work. Like literally, you are slowing them down. So many of us, I'm not going to say us, you, because I'm not part of you in this aspect. So many of you, you find yourself drawing back the people who are willing and ready to support you, help you take that next stage, but you're the one dragging yourself back. Now, I'm saying this because KFC's story is reminding us that as much as there is power in documentation, as much as there is power in branding, there's also power in you. Understanding that you are a secret source to the growth of your own business, your mindset, your willingness to take it to that next level. If we want to talk about growth planning with 2025, don't remove yourself from the equation. You need to grow for your business to grow. You need to be developed for your business to get developed. You are an essential piece. Even if you have team members, employees, you are an essential piece. You are the one that would help get that legacy solidified. So even when you leave, your legacy still stands because you would always be a huge part of the entire business. That's where I'm going to stop today. Over to you, Legra.
That was very powerful, TC. I mean, I think, and I was hearing what you were saying and just really thinking in my mind where I was, 15, 20 years ago. I mean, I know that gives away my age, but the truth is that I've been in business for over 20 years. And I mean, when you think about this is not just a, one hit wonder thing. You have to actually go through all of the challenges, whether you have people or not. And I think this part of the resilience, and this is why in the beginning of this story, I thought it was so interesting that they said that he was a resilient person. And that's why, because he went through some of the worst times that most people would just say, I'm out, I'm not doing this. And what is it about you that keeps giving up? Right? What is it about you that when that idea and that thing comes up where you say, I want to start this business, but you don't actually take accountability for the things that you need to do? That's where I start with people, because the truth is that we all have control over creating whatever it is that we want in life. Like no one can stop you from building whatever business you want to build. No one can stop you. I don't care what it is. I don't care what it is. If you want it, you can have it. The truth is, when you were saying, you can't have someone else want it more than you do. And I think that's where it comes from, because when I'm gonna tell you, when you hire someone, when you get someone to support you in your business, right? Here's some of the things that I've seen, and I empathize with it because I've done it. You get someone that can do it really well, and you go, okay, good, good, good. You do that, and then you just disconnect. And the truth is that as a business owner, you still have to be in your business at all times, even when you hire someone, even when you work with a coach, even when you have a VA, you still have to be in it. One of the biggest examples, and I don't know if KFC did this, but I love this example, and I'll end with this. McDonald's. Ray Kroc, when he took over his franchises and he started working at the McDonald's, he was in there sweeping the floors. Okay? One of the things that he never had to do, that's something you pay someone a very low pay to do. You don't have to do it. But the truth is that even if he hired someone to do it, he still did it himself. It's just that the help that he received and the other information that people were bringing into his company because they were helping in these positions enhanced him as a business owner, enhanced the business because they brought more value. So when we are thinking about our business, what makes you think that you can just have an idea and dismiss it and just keep going and not do anything? What makes you think that you can just have an idea and dismiss it and not do anything?
So, I hope, Allegra, are you there? Okay, great, great.
I'm here.
Okay,
Can you
great.
hear me, TC? So, okay, so we're pretty much done here. I just wanted to just end with that because, you know, in order for you to have this business, in order for you to grow this business, to scale it up, to start from where you are and grow it, you have to do the work from the beginning, and no one else is to blame. I don't care who they are and what they do. And every single brand story that we've seen, TC, every single story, I did not hear not one excuse as to anyone being a deficit to that person in their business. It didn't matter who came. In Apple, they had a partner that dipped out before they could even blow up, and they still continued. So that's what you need to do. No matter where you are in your business, no matter where you are, you could be a start phase and a growth phase and a scale up phase, but you never have to give up. You don't even have that option. You got to get back on the buggy, get the support, and, you know, renew your mind in those areas. So I just want to encourage anyone who felt like giving up. I will even drop the YouTube series, because myself and TC are going to be doing the OPM webinar this month for you guys at the end of the month. If you want to learn how to use other people's money, that's one thing, right? You got to have the right mindset to do that, right? You can't be scared of money, because the truth is that your business needs it to survive. But we also have opportunities for you to get into, and I dropped that OPM in the comments for y'all. But I also understand that, you know, as we have these conversations, y'all, there are going to be some hard truths. The hard truth is that the problem most of the time is us, is me, is you. We're the only problems in our business, because no matter who we bring in our business, we can switch out whoever we work with. We can change, we can decide differently. And so let's make a decision wherever you are in your business that you're going to decide to continue and to grow that thing and get the right support. We got to get out of here. We've definitely taken up too much for time. But TC, thank you so much for joining me again. As per usual, you guys, if you need your systems set up and you need them set up properly, I trust TC to do all of that and more. And we'll have some more content for you coming up, because there's just so much that you guys need to be doing, especially in this holiday season. Make sure you get your offers ready. All right. Thank y'all. We'll see y'all soon.